biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
You heard the man. Welcome to the, I was about to say Walk It Down podcast. It is late. It's after midnight here at the Mark It Down podcast with your host, yours truly, Mean Streak, Matt Cascone. And tonight we watched AEW's Worlds End. And that is our producer on the other line. Just going to mute him for a sec. And I got to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to watch this pay-per-view. I have not been paying too much attention to AEW since Full Gear, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I was a little bit spiteful that we didn't hear back about getting to do pod stuff for that show. So we went on our own for fun, and we had a great time. But again, the spite flowed through me. But we're here tonight. I watched it. I missed all of the Continental tournament, and we are in the semifinals right off the bat. And man, did they go hot and heavy and hit it right off, hit a grand slam right out the gate, home run, whatever you want to call it. Bad baseball analogy. It was Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher, and dang, they killed it. And Fletcher almost killed Ospreay because he was bleeding all over the place, and it was insane. And what a match! And I can't say enough. Like 5 stars. Give them all the stars. Just you can go home after that match, as far as I'm concerned, because nothing was going to top it, and nothing did. But that's, I had to watch, I had to review. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. And there was plenty of other great stuff to go along with it. But you knew tonight, with those semifinal and final rounds of the Continental Classic, that it was going to be a rip-roaring good time filled with wrestling classics, and that's what we got. And Will Ospreay came out with the win tonight, and it was something else. Bravo to both guys. And then we get to the second match. And it's Ricochet against Okada. And Okada is the current champ. He's defending the crown in this Continental Crown tournament. And man, oh man, Ricochet has really dug himself a hole here. I don't mind a heel Ricochet. I think that's an interesting way to go. And I do look forward to it. But Ricochet's got to stop with the negative, like indulging the negative fan responses, at least on the internet. Ricochet, you are so talented and quick on your feet in the ring, but when it comes to the jabber jawing, the gift to gab, you don't have it, my friend. I mean, just put this into perspective. When Ricochet came to WWE, what was that, like 8 years ago when he debuted in NXT? He debuted in NXT with the shaved head. He had no hair. Nobody was saying anything about him being bald. Nobody. The second he starts doing this whole thing where he's talking to fans on the internet, like that whole, like, why you bald? And he acknowledged it. Now everyone's making fun of him for being bald. No one made fun of you for being bald for 8 years. You acknowledge negative fan interaction, and now people are making fun of you. And man, did they have it? Did he get it tonight? The crowd was having it all. Give me 1 sec here.
Did you want to just go over the first match, or?
No, we just skipped right through it.
I thought we were giving a run through the whole show. My bad. I can kind of give notes on the first match. A lot of blood.
Go through whatever. Yeah, the blood. Go through the highlights of the first match, and we'll get to this. We'll go right to the second.
A lot of blood. Fletcher gives off very, very Randy Orton type vibes. I know I've seen that online a bunch, but I actually agree with it. First thing that happened was a power bomb by Fletcher to Ospreay, which looked really awkward. It was right on the apron. It was just a really bad landing for Ospreay. And then he busted Ospreay open. And something that always gets a pop out of me is when guys are playing with blood, similar to how Swerve had his blood drunk by Hangman a few months ago. It wasn't anything to that extent. It was just, your basic wiping the blood on your chest. I think he licked his hand when he had some of Will's blood on his hand, and that got the crowd going a little bit. It actually wasn't that high flying of a match, I think, because Will knew that. I mean, everybody, whatever. Will knew that he would have a second match, so they kind of kept it to Fletcher's pace. It wasn't that amazing of a match, to be honest. It was kind of just like, I know that I'm gonna have a second match later tonight, and I'm gonna slow it down, which I thought meant the Okada match was gonna be quick and high flying, which also wasn't. I don't think either of these matches were a match of the night. There was a good back and forth between the two guys before Ospreay hit the Os cutter. I'm not a big fan of the cutter because everyone does it. There was a cool little headbutt spot where they were both on all fours and they were just headbutting each other hard way back and forth. There was no like faking those headbutts, and I thought that was pretty cool. But then it was like, this seems kind of dumb to be doing this.
Especially Ospreay, a man of many concussions.
Is that his thing? I didn't know that.
It's not recently, but when he was younger, when I was watching him in ROH, he had a couple, I think like 2 or 3 bad concussions that kept him off, wrestling for a while, to the point where they thought he might have to retire.
Yeah.
Kris Statlander says, since it's 1 victory for Kyle Fletcher and 1 victory for Will Ospreay, we need a third match. I couldn't agree more. I don't think we need it right now, but that's definitely something down the line they have set up nicely. And Fletcher, I think, has, the fact he's a bad guy, he kind of got the short end of the stick here, the fact that he beat Ospreay and didn't really get anything out of it, but Ospreay got a spot in the finals and he blew it. Or we'll get to that down the line. Sorry, I just spoiled it. But
there was a moment for the end of the match that kind of bothered me. The ref got involved, which almost cost Fletcher the match.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like just a regular ref bump, ref disappears for the rest of the match. It was Fletcher pushing the ref and the ref pushing Fletcher back, which was a push into a move by Ospreay, and I wasn't really a fan of that. Like, if it was like a Wednesday and it was just a nothing match, I'd be like, okay, but this is kind of like supposed to be a really important match, and the ref kind of just getting involved kind of takes away from. I mean, it wasn't the end of the match, so I mean, I guess it was fine, but it still kind of took me out.
One, it wasn't the end of the match, so it wasn't supposed to bother you though that way. And it's fine that you were bothered. I'm not disregarding your feelings, but that's the way they justify it. 2, it's a way of getting heel heat on Fletcher, the fact that he pushes the ref. And 3, that is no ordinary ref, my friend. That is Todd Sinclair, ROH's next world champ. If you know the story, Todd, I think it was way back in ROH, long time ago. Austin Aries, I believe he was ROH world champ at the time, like was strutting down to the ring in his pink vest, and a fan grabbed Austin, kind of like swirled him around, and like I think Austin took a shot, but basically Todd got involved, and like Todd like essentially like knocked out a fan, like defending Austin, and everyone was like all about it. Obviously not that fan who got hurt, but like, that's number 1 rule of wrestling, don't put your hands on the wrestlers. And no one will put hands on you. But I digress. But that's why give Todd his flowers. You know, if you're gonna push Todd has a history of of
I see.
throwing hands.
So I need to watch ROH to understand that.
I don't think so. I'm just giving a fun fact.
No,
Fun
I got
history
it.
lesson.
I'm just saying, I feel like AEW would do something like that, where it's like you have to watch this one episode of this random ass company to know this thing that's happening on TV in front of millions of people.
Todd's taken so many bumps since then. I don't think anyone really remembers, except for like me and probably James and my other friend James. No one really remembers Todd Sinclair, ROH next world champ.
The last thing I said on this match was there was a big boot in the corner to Ospreay and Will falling lifeless onto Fletcher, and it just gave me Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn vibes. I know they like to do that. The match ended. I wouldn't say this was his best match of the night. I wouldn't say it was. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Anyway, next was sorry. I know you were going over the Okada and Ricochet match. Did you want me to go over this one too, or did you?
No, I like your more detailed approach. It's fine. You know me. And I wasn't even talking about the Ricochet match. I was just more or less talking about his bald head and how he's brought this on himself.
Right.
Stop Ricochet versus the internet. I'm sorry, Ricochet, you're not going to win. Like, stick to your strengths, which is wrestling, and stop going. It's pretty bad.
I would disagree with that. I think he's leaning into what people disliked about him the most, and it's somehow because what we didn't like about him was that he was clearly annoyed by these jokes. Now that he's leaning into it, we can kind of tell that he's leaning into it, and he's making it a part of his character, which makes it enjoyable to like make fun of him and boo him and come up with these, these funny chants. Like at some point, I mean, I guess my only thing would be that this match got taken over by Ricochet being in it. It was a lot of fan interaction, a lot of chants about him being bald. There was a na hey 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 you're bald chant, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yes, I did too.
But then after that, the first half of the match was more fun than anything. It wasn't actually the match itself. The match was like super slow, in my opinion. This was slower than the first match, but
I agree.
The ball chants were funny. I thought Ricochet did it well. He leaned into it well, and then maybe he didn't know when to stop doing it because it continued.
He doesn't have control over this situation, and I don't think it benefits him until he starts making money off of it. If he can start selling some bald shirts, then I'd say you're doing well, Ricochet. But
but he can't sell the shirts because it's supposed to be anti-Ricochet. He wouldn't sell pro Ricochet shirts that say bald. I mean, maybe he could own it. Yeah. The biggest pop of the night might be when Okada smacked Ricochet's bald head. That might have been bigger than Kenny Omega coming back, to be honest.
We'll get to that. And also, I will give Ricochet credit. He sold the smacking of the head. He oversold it, but it wasn't like to a ridiculous point. It was like to a satisfying end.
I would I would love to know if they called that in the ring or if that was planned. Because I know, Okada's pretty funny, but I don't know if he's as self-aware of everything happening around him with the chants and the bald jokes, but maybe he is. I don't know. That I just thought it was really funny, and it was like at the perfect time. Anyway, I was saying that Okada was moving pretty slow in this match, so it kind of gave me the same vibe that Will gave me in the first match, which was that he was going to have a match later tonight, so he wanted to conserve energy. Ricochet, I don't know what I was talking. There was a moment where Ricochet lands Okada awkwardly on his back, but I wasn't sure what the move was, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?" and then Okada won. Those are my notes on that one.
That was good enough for me.
And then Swerve comes out and shoots a promo on Ricochet. And the first thing, before I even get to the Swerve stuff, why is Swerve not more focused on the guy who is holding the company and his former championship hostage? Why is he dealing with Ricochet right now? That was my gripe for this segment, but
Yeah, I don't know that part either. Swerve says Ricochet has been talking a lot of shit, even going as far as saying there would be no AEW without him. What's the best way to clean up shit? Toilet paper, and the crowd throws toilet paper at Ricochet.
Yeah, this was great. I do wonder if they're going to lean into this or if it was just a one-time thing. I feel like more toilet paper would have been cool. It was a cool shot regardless. And
I would say there's a solid amount. Like it's not like the chairs being thrown into the ring in ECW that one time.
But it was a cool enough shot where you weren't like, oh, that was a flub on their end.
Yeah, no, this is pretty appealing, I think so. I think.
Yeah. It's also like
my phone,
in the moment, what are you supposed to do? Hand it out to every,
You could, but the problem with doing that is it's like how soon do you give them toilet paper? Because you would either have to have a bunch of plants, or you would give the toilet paper to fans.
Well, that's why I'm glad. Go ahead, I'm listening.
You would tell the fans throw it, but you would have to tell them to throw it at a certain point, and you would have to trust the fans not to throw it too soon or too late and like fuck up the spot and fuck up the show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why I was glad they did it in the moment, because it's like, okay, they're not plants. I guess the worry would be you don't want fans for future to come in with toilet paper unless they do. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it happened already at the Manhattan Center, but the Manhattan Center is like that's like a special venue. Like you're not going to be able to do that at your average venue.
Yeah. Also, how was it? A lot of toilet paper? Or was it just one roll?
It was like 3 or 4 or 5, like from different directions. But I think that's I'm going to give you a history lesson. That's an old ROH trope. It would be to throw streamers at the guys you like during their intro. And then,
I've been to some shows. Yeah.
And then sometimes on rare occasions, you would throw toilet paper at people you didn't like.
Okay.
But that's long. That's almost like a dated thing, like an ancient ritual. To put it in context, Kevin Owens has been in WWE 10 years, and his first NXT takeover in Brooklyn, a couple fans brought streamers and they threw it during his entrance. And they definitely were like taken by security. I think they were allowed to go sit back down, but at the very least, they almost got thrown out for doing that. And it was just kind of like, this is our guy. This is Kevin. We throw streamers at him all the time. Like, but it's not like that anymore. You can't do that.
I guess, did you have anything else on the Swerve stuff?
No, I missed that part. So
Okay.
to be completely honest,
it's all good. I mean, that was pretty much it. It was just the toilet paper. It was a quick segment. I didn't really know. I don't know what it's leading to, because it kind of ended on just like an angry Ricochet when I was just starting to like enjoy this squealy little rat. And it kind of looks like I wasn't sure if they're going to go for like he's like this angry heel after this, but I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just like he's just going to continue to be a dick towards Swerve, and they're just going to have a really good feud or whatever.
Yeah, I can see him getting like a dickish win over Swerve. Like, I don't think he'll get a dominant win over Swerve. Like, Swerve is the former world champion. Very very good booking in AEW. Like if Ricochet is going to get a win over him, it's not even guaranteed. But if he does, it's going to be like a stooge victory. It's not going to be a dominant one by any means. At least that's my prediction.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. I just saw this. Ricochet left WWE because he thought he wasn't getting opportunities to showcase his style.
See, look at that selling. It was great. That was fun.
All right. Did you want to go into the Thunder Rosa match, or did you miss that as well?
That was just was a disappointment, man. Like that's another one. I don't know what Thunder's doing. You know, a friend of the pod, Machoverse, he recently met Thunder Rosa, and this was on Thunder's Instagram just I think yesterday. Give me a sec. I'll pull it up.
I mean, it's fine. Go on.
Like Machoverse mistakenly thought she left AEW because he doesn't watch Collision, and a lot of people don't watch Collision. So
right.
I'm sure he's not the only one that was like mistaken. Like, oh, you're still in AEW, and now she's on pay-per-view, and she has a clunky match with Mariah May. And it was,
to be fair, that's where she returned, right? Didn't she return on Collision or something? It's been a pretty lackluster return after she was gone for like a year.
She's only been wrestling on Collision, unless she's wrestled on Dynamite this past month. Like I said, I haven't been watching since Full Gear. I know I've been bad, guys, but I've been going to live shows and doing tons of social media stuff for the pod.
She gives me, this was in my notes. She kind of gives me like Natalya vibes, where she kind of feels like she deserves more than she actually does, if that makes any sense.
No, I totally get that. That's you're not wrong. You're not wrong there.
I think she's super talented, and like her and Britt Baker had a cool feud, and like it was really fun when AEW started, and then she kind of just fell off. I don't know if it's because she just got beef with people in the back and you have to separate her, and it's just like a weird, awkward environment to be in. I'm sure she's friends with like Penta and all these AAA guys, so maybe there's just like a running beef between her and the company. I don't really know, but I mean, we could go over the match, but
no, I like what you had to say. It's relevant to this conversation. We don't always have to talk exactly about the match. We can talk about the stuff behind the match. I don't know what the deal is with Thunder Rosa, but I was looking forward to this match, even though I thought it was odd that she was the next in line for a title shot. I was still open to it. I'm like, Tijuana Street Fight, like this could be fun.
Right.
And unfortunately, it wasn't. It was clunky. I think there was like maybe 3 spots I enjoyed it. Like the thumbtack spot was good. Did I enjoy it? No, just because, you know, thumbtacks, I've seen it a million times, and like that's gotta hurt. So I always feel bad.
There was a funny moment with the thumbtacks. So Rosa really didn't seem affected when she landed on it. The only time she looks like she was genuinely hurt was when Mariah sat on her for the pin, and it was really digging in the thumbtacks.
Man.
It seemed like she was trying to push her off when she was pinning her.
Maybe she had a splinter from that table.
No, that was after.
Oh, okay. Might be. I didn't even realize, did they do any pinfalls outside of the ring, or just the final pinfall?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I just remember the final pinfall and being like, oh, this is pinfalls anywhere. I didn't even realize that.
So I thought the match was pretty clunky from the beginning. I know they tried to get weapons involved, but it seemed like it was just like a smoke and mirrors kind of thing, because they knew that the match itself wasn't going to be entertaining enough, and the crowd was kind of tired because they saw the first 2 matches, even though the second match really wasn't that great, but they put so much energy into the Ricochet stuff that they lost everything once this match started. I feel like I watched the show and I know what's going on, but I didn't even know that Mariah May was going against Thunder Rosa tonight until they showed up, but maybe that's on me. There
I
wasn't.
think that one's on you, but it happens to the best of us. I will say, I will give them credit. Like the beginning of this match, they both came out. I like the outfits they were wearing. It was street fight attire, and then Mariah May comes out second. Obviously, she's the champion. She kind of jabberjaws Thunder Rosa's dad in the front row, and like just as she turns, this was like perfect storm. She just turns around, and Thunder Rosa right off camera dives and like does the perfect dive on her.
Mhm.
And I give AEW a lot of crap for their camera work. They do a lot of botches a lot of times. I think it was the perfect shot and like a perfect hit for Thunder. And it was just, they've been doing really good shots tonight. I thought the camera work was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a table spot on the ramp. And then I will give credit to Thunder Rosa. She set up the table halfway. So it was a ramp of herself. And she did like a 3-step run into a drop kick on Mariah, which was really smooth.
That was cool.
It could have easily, like, that's a spot where it's like, okay, I should be able to do this, but like, you know,
what if the table slides? That's really what I thought was going to happen. I was like, there's no way that she's going to make this work. And then when she did, the crowd got into the match. So, it was worth the risk of looking stupid.
In that moment. But yeah, it's like, what's the risk reward here? It worked out in that moment. So I will give props to Thunder on that. The thing that bugged me in the beginning was like after that cool thing I just talked about, she like brings her into the ring and like she might not like hit her once and she's immediately just like telling the crowd to get pumped up. And it's just like, you only did one move.
Right.
Get some more fury in before you start like telling us that we need to be, on a higher level.
Yeah. You finally got a reaction from the crowd, and now you're trying to hype them up. Just keep doing what you're doing, and they'll,
Yeah, it was awkward, and then they went through an awkward sequence, and it just kind of derailed all the nice things I said about them in the beginning of the match.
Yeah, I did mark down. There was I know they did the choking spot a couple times, but the first time they did it, the camera guys could not get a clear angle on it because the referee was just in the shot, regardless of which camera they were using. They just kept cutting from camera to camera, and the ref was just in the way. I don't know if it was Aubrey or not, but
probably was Aubrey.
But
she does tend to get in the way a lot.
They did do it a second time. They got a clear shot of Mariah getting choked by Rosa right into the camera. There was and then I guess the ending was really, the final spot was really cool, but I missed the dirt spot. Like I saw dirt in the air. Did she miss her face?
I don't know. We'll get to that so Mariah May took the bag of dirt that Thunder Rosa had. It was the sand, the dirt of the Tijuana desert that Thunder Rosa's dad brought, who, by the way, was the worst participant in this. I can't give him any credit whatsoever. And this has nothing to do with. I was shocked at how short he was. One, that was really comical, but two, he just Mariah May comes over, smacks the hat off his head, is insulting him, and he's just standing there not reacting at all. It's is this a language thing? Has he never been to a wrestling show? Is he comatose? What is going on here? This is terrible. Do something. Get the crowd into this spot. This is an old school spot, and you can't do it in America anymore. But considering the dude's from Tijuana, Mexico, you could totally pull this off. Have Mariah May go and to whack him. Have him block and do the old smooch face move. And Mariah May goes,
I did. A part of me did think he's going to be so confused as to what's going on that he might actually hit Mariah.
So it was just so terrible and awkward and it draining Like this could have been like a simple, fun little spot they could have done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can think of alternatives to I guess technically kissing without consent is sexual assault, I guess. Like, but come on, that's an old wrestling trope that for me, in the right setting, can still be very comical.
Yeah, I think he was a little too old to even make that realistic. But we can move on.
He was too short, honestly. I don't think he could have reached up to grab Mariah May. Like it would never have happened. But I digress. Let's get to that ending. She threw the dirt into Thunder Rosa's face. I don't know if it landed or not. I didn't really care. I thought it was kind of lame. And then she hit, I guess, a pile driver onto the table outside and got the 1-2-3 outside. The table spot was very cool, like a good way to end the match. It just sucked that it was the sand and like the dad and the cane that Thunder Rosa was barely even hitting Mariah May with. It was like maybe that was actually her dad's cane and they couldn't afford to get him a new one, or they didn't have a backup, so she didn't want his dad hobbling home.
It did seem like she was avoiding breaking it for when she realized, like, oh, this is actually his cane.
Yeah, and we don't have a backup here. We have one. It's back in Tijuana.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
MJF and Adam Cole.
Baby.
Wait, what? Oh.
Good match. Lots of blading, which I'm never a fan of, but
you go ahead, give a rundown of that match because I missed it all. All I saw, I'll tell you what I saw before my lights went out.
Sure.
MJF had a cool entrance. All I could think of, once his contract is up, I think he's out of here. I think he's given the company everything he can, and he has no reason to stay unless they offer him $1 gajillion. Anyway, Cole is bleeding. I think it was from when he threw him into the staircase, but it was like not even close to his head. So I don't know how he came back bleeding, but
it was also the only offense MJF had gotten at that point in the match. Like Cole was beating him up and MJF was running away. And like the first offensive move does is MJF lightly throws Cole into the stairs and like he's bleeding profusely. So
yeah, it was kind of like a running theme throughout the night. It was like we have to bleed early on because our matches are going to be cut short, which is whatever. But anyway, so yeah, MJF spent like 5 minutes taunting while I guess he was bleeding, and then he was biting his head, spitting out the blood. There was a lot of blood play tonight. I thought the first time was cool, and then it happened in like every other match after this. After the first match, MJF did a lot of taunting, and then
to good effect though. They were doing the "He's our scumbag" chant, and he said, "Hey, if I need your help, I'd ask for it. So shut the fuck up." But
yeah, that's about when I fell asleep. So you can kind of give a rundown of the rest if you'd like.
Yeah, they had a really good match. I didn't write a whole lot of notes on this one. Sorry, I thought James was going to do most of the play-by-play commentary, but they had a good back and forth match. Cole was he's trying to. I'm sorry, I should say MJF went after the ankle after Cole landed on it awkwardly. We know that Cole had hurt his ankle pretty badly last year, was recovering. They were doing all kinds of stuff. And then towards the end, MJF went outside, got the Kingdom removed, grabbed the ring, went to hit Cole with the ring. Cole ducked, did a super kick, grabbed the ring himself, was going to hit him with the ring. The ref is still trying to kick out the Kingdom at this point. That is when MJF hits a low blow followed by the Heat Seeker and gets the 1-2-3. So MJF has retained the Dynamite Diamond Ring yet again. Before all that stuff happened, Adam Cole did hit a Panama Sunrise, I believe. And what's crazy is that the Kingdom did not turn on Adam Cole. I think a lot of us were expecting that Adam Cole would reunite with Kyle O'Reilly and after Roderick Strong. Matt Taven and Michael Bennett turned on Cole, and then they would get Bobby Fish, and so it would be a 3 versus 3 kind of undisputed kingdom red dragon shish kebab smorgasbord. But it doesn't look like they're going that way, because after the match, MJF put the chair on Adam Cole's leg to try and snap it. Roger Strong comes out to stop him. MJF runs up the ramp. He runs into Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly throws MJF down to the ring. They do the high-low that Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong used to do when they were tag team champs. And then Matt Taven and Michael Bennett come in the ring. So it's the 5 of them all raising each other's hand. Adam Cole takes the ring off, spits on it, and puts it on MJF's chest. So someone on X says, need Adam Cole and MJF to move on from each other now, please. I mean, this seems like that story has run its course. I mean, what were they fighting over? The ring, and Adam Cole lost the ring match. So, and MJF has already lost the world championship, so they have nothing else to fight over. I think you're going to do something. Hopefully they do something now with the faction of Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Michael Bennett. We'll see. It's 5 of them. It's a good group. Maybe they couldn't get Bobby Fish. I don't know. Bobby Fish is an MLW. I think he'd take, a payday in AEW any day. Nothing against MLW. I'm just saying, TV time, big money, or MLW, and also AEW with your friends, guys that you've had success with before. That seems like the safe bet.
He seems like he was probably a pain in the ass to work with. He gives off like Austin Aries vibes. But anyway, without having to get into that, we can skip to the Mercedes match.
Sure. I think this was the much better match.
To be honest, I feel like this is match of the night.
Really? Okay.
But anyway, go on.
I wasn't a huge fan of some of the booking decisions of the match, but I thought it was very, very, very well performed. Right off the bat, before we even get into the match stuff, love both these girls' outfits. I think Kris has really been killing it with her ring attires lately. This baby blue, it's not my favorite. I think my favorite is still Globo Gym, the dodgeball, Ben Stiller, purple. But the baby blue outfit she had on tonight looked really kick-ass. And people have been giving Mercedes Moné like such shit for, not everyone's been a fan of her in-ring performances, but people have been dogging her for her outfits ever since she, broke up with her husband, the one who designed her outfits, and saying like, who's making your new outfits? These outfits suck. Well, tonight, I think it's her best ring outfit post WWE. And also I love that she changed her hair up with it as well. She looked just fantastic.
Kris agrees with me, by the way, that it was match of the night.
Mercedes Moné versus Kris Statlander was my match of the night yesterday. Yeah, it is technically yesterday already.
But anyway, keep going.
So yeah, there was a lot of kick-ass moves in this match, and a lot of great. Since it was your favorite match of the night, why don't you talk about it, and I'll chime in here and there.
So the first thing, I mean, it was in the beginning of the match, so I didn't really know what I was gonna feel. But Mercedes tries to knee Statlander in the face while she's up against the LED board, and all she does is knee the LED board. And I thought it was kind of funny. They just played like she hit her in the face, but I was like, she just kneed a screen with both of her knees.
That's a normal stereo.
Yeah, but it was like
we know what we signed up for.
Kris counters a jump and carries Mercedes from the floor to the ring, which I guess was cool. It was cool. Mercedes is like a third of her size, so it really wasn't that like crazy of a thing. Obviously, she's super strong. There was a scary power bomb by Mercedes. So I think this was when Statlander was on the top rope, and Mercedes went for a power bomb, and it looked like from the camera angle, it looked like she was going for the power bomb outside of the ring onto the floor. So when she started falling, I was like, "Oh, they're actually going to do this," and then she landed on the apron. So,
which is the hardest part of the ring.
And then maybe the coolest part of the match, but also I really, at this point, I was confused as to like what they're trying to do with Mercedes, because she did the 7 suplexes with the homage to Eddie Guerrero, which is usually a fuck you. But Kris says, I'm not a fan of Mercedes, Moné. I am a fan of Sky Blue and Julia Hart. They were not on the show today.
Nope.
Maybe, but anyway, sorry.
Julia will be in the January 1st show, which they're making a big deal out of, because that'll be the start of their deal with Max. So you can watch on Max
Afterwards.
or TBS. No, at the same time.
I think it's. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's after it's off of. As soon as it's off of TV, it goes to Max.
I'll look it up. You keep talking about the match.
Anyway, Mercedes does the 7 suplexes. It gets the crowd super hyped, which doesn't make any sense because Statlander is supposed to be the face. And at this point, people are loving Mercedes. I think she's gained her respect in the company. She has a match like every week, every pay-per-view. She's putting in the work, and it's all for a mid-card title, which is a slight issue that I have, but we can get to that at the end. The crowd starts to turn on Mercedes. Even the announcers make note of it. So I wasn't sure if they were doing it on purpose. If Tony was in the back, like, hey, make it known that the crowd is turning on her. Kris says, I think Sky Blue returns on January 1st and helps Julia Hart beat Jamie Hayter.
Definitely happened. I think you're right about the Max thing being like right after.
Yeah, I think that would be impossible. Yeah, it would be impossible to do that. Kris takes off her boot while she's stuck. They do this like creative thing where they slide out of the ring and they rip off the ring apron, which I don't think whatever. They rip off the ring apron and then Mercedes.
No, it doesn't happen often. You're right.
Mercedes uses the the metal part of the mat on the side to get Kris' foot stuck in, and then Kris has to take her boot off. She hits 2 F5s onto Mercedes. At this point, I thought it was over. I thought Kris was taking it at this point because of how much offense Mercedes was getting in it, and I thought maybe Kris gets the win at the very end. Mercedes tombstones Kris on the apron, which I thought looked crazy.
That was great. My favorite move of the match.
Mercedes, I don't know how to say that. Mercedes did it in a way where she obviously Kris is the bigger person, so she did it in the safest way possible, but it still looked cool. There was a fight forever chant at this point because the match was pretty sick. At this point, I think this is probably the best match of the night. Whatever. And then Kris Statlander. That was it. And that was pretty much the end of the match. I don't remember how it ended, but
it was a lot of like they were on the ground doing a bunch of different stuff.
Oh, right.
Rehearsals, and then Moné was able to lock her into a pin.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward, but maybe it was supposed to be awkward. I was kind of nervous that they were going to fuck it up, but it ended up being fine.
It was like a locking, like a seatbelt pin kind of. The problem I have with this booking is you talked about how Mercedes hit a move on the outside and she was going to get a count out victory. And Mercedes like, no, I'm not done with her. And that's when she went outside and like kicked her and lodged her foot into the grating. And then afterwards was like, okay, whatever. I'm cool with the count out victory now. And she didn't get the count out victory. She did like another big move, didn't get the counter victory. And then it was just kind of like, she ends up winning at the end anyway. So she essentially like won twice. Like if she ended up losing at the end, it could have been like, the story could have been like, well, she would have won if she didn't get in her own way, or she would have won, but she got greedy, or like, she got cocky. But no, it's oh, well, she would have won twice. She basically won twice, and Kris just looks like a two-time loser. And it's tough because we actually did miss a match. It was before this, I believe we had the Takeshita Hobbs match, which was fine until like the last few minutes. It was like went into overdrive and was awesome, and Hobbs didn't win. And it felt similar to this match in the same way of like the overcoming the odds, but just coming up short. I would have liked it to have gone the different way where it's like Kris was able to overcome the odds and win, and the title changes hands instead of the matches being right after each other with the exact same ending, essentially. You know,
do you want to give a quick rundown of what happened with the Hobbs match? Because I didn't even know that happened.
Not really. I don't. I'd say it was like there was a lot of meat chants. It was fun. It was pretty standard. Like if it was like a 15-minute match, like it was pretty standard, like for 11 minutes, like nothing bad about it. It was just kind of like, okay, these guys are going at it. And then the last 4 minutes, it was just like, they were hauling ass. They were just like, it was like, holy crap. Like got to rewatch this. Like, and it was I would say it was a standout performance for Hobbs. I think he needed it. I think it's maybe too soon for him to win a title right now. I don't think the timing is great, but let's put it this way. They could have called an audible and just given it to Hobbs, and I would have been cool with it.
So the winner was
Konosuke Takeshita.
Great. Do you want to move on to the Ospreay Okada match?
Yeah. That match was great. Lots of reversals, and both these guys were worn out, but especially Ospreay, and I think that's pretty much why he lost it. Also because Kenny Omega came back, and I think they want to do Kenny versus Okada rather than go back to doing Kenny versus Ospreay, which they've done at least twice now in AEW.
Yeah.
What did I write?
I can mark some stuff down if you want to.
Yeah, go for it.
Okada uses the large Band-Aid wrapped around Ospreay's head as an armband, which I found kind of amusing. I thought he was going to continue to use it the entire match, which I thought would have been funny, but I guess he didn't want to take away from the match. There was... Actually, never mind. You go on.
Ospreay hit a Styles Clash. There were some extremely close 2 counts in this match. Like Ospreay hit a Styles Clash. They called it a Styles Clash. The setup, the crowd was going crazy for. He hits it. The 1, 2. I'm like, in my mind, I know enough about wrestling. There's no way Ospreay is winning this match on a Styles Clash. But the count to 3 was so close to being 3 that I'm like, oh my God, is he actually going to win with the Styles Clash? But he didn't. Same thing happened when Okada hit that first Rainmaker. You really thought that was a 3 count, but it wasn't. And then there was like some back and forth action here and there, like some really good stuff, similar to what the Ospreay and Fletcher did in their first match at Full Gear. Eventually, Okada hits the second Rainmaker, and unfortunately, Ospreay is going down for the 1, 2, 3. Even though I really wish he wouldn't.
Yeah,
the Rainmaker.
I do have a small gripe with that. One, not many people kick out of the Rainmaker.
Exactly.
But 2, it's someone who got hit with a Rainmaker, but was also in a match earlier in the night, which I find kind of weird.
Fighting spirit, my friend. Fighting spirit overcomes everything in wrestling.
Yeah, but there's certain things. This is not a heavyweight championship match. So using the Rainmaker and kicking out seems like a strange place to do that. But
think about it like this. Also,
because he's taking the L, he looks. He still looks strong, but I don't know. That's just my take.
Also think the fact that Okada was also in a match already, so maybe the Rainmaker isn't as strong as it would be in like a first match of the night. Again, Ricochet went down to 1 Rainmaker.
That's a good point. But also Ricochet didn't put up much of a fight, so that's where I'm like, he didn't have a tough match with Ricochet, so it's not. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. We're here to discuss things, and we don't always have to agree, and we can go through it together. But yeah, so I just knew the Rainmaker is like one of the more protected moves in wrestling. I mean, it's not the most protected. It's not it's not a whatchamacallit, end of days or a not ego's edge, a razor's edge. But it's still, and it's not a one-winged angel, but it's still, I would say those are the only moves that are more protected.
Right.
Maybe the burning hammer. Okay, I'm done naming moves.
It's okay. We got 10 minutes. We can talk about Kenny's return.
You talk about it, and then I'll talk about the main event, and then we'll be done.
And then, okay, so Christopher Daniels comes out. He wants to present the title to Okada. He says, I can't do that anymore because I'm no longer an EVP. This man is. Kenny Omega comes out. It's a huge pop. I don't necessarily know if this is how I would have had him come back, but I also don't really know what the plans are for him. So maybe this was the best option. Because if it's not this, then it should be the guy who is going after John Moxley, because he's pretty much got the company held hostage. Another version of Swerve, why are Swerve and Kenny Omega in the company and not trying to do something about it when this is like their baby? But that's besides the point. Kenny looks really cool. He's got the long hair. I'm excited to see what he does in Japan. I'm excited to see what he does in Japan and then follows through with in AEW. I can't help but hate the fact that he's an EVP. I wish he was just a wrestler so that his aura would be different in the company than it is when he's an EVP, if that makes any sense. It's the same problem that Cody had. It's the same. You're an EVP. I can't take you. I don't see you as like a struggling wrestler trying to become champion because you're in charge. Anyway, Okada couldn't help but break character while Kenny was coming to the ring. He was like smiling. I don't think, I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if they're trying to turn Okada because the Elite isn't there, and when the Elite comes back, are they going to be faces? So you got to make Okada a face. I think we're in a weird spot where a lot of the guys are heels and faces, and the company doesn't know where to land on these characters. But that is a conversation for a different day. What did you think of Kenny's return?
I'm excited. I'm more optimistic than you. Let's see how it plays out. That's all I got to say about that. So let's run into the main event. John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy versus Hangman Adam Page versus Switchblade Jay White.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a weird gripe for me. DraftKings sports betting, you can bet on wrestling now, and it's like part of a pool. So you're not actually betting money, but if you like guess the certain things right, you get like money for DraftKings. And one of the things right on their thing is, do you think Orange Cassidy will hit an orange punch in the first 2 minutes of the match? And my thought is, I would never think that. But now you're making me think that. So yeah, he's going to do it. And when he doesn't do it in 2 minutes, I'm going to be disappointed. And not just because I got it wrong, but because you put that in my mind, DraftKings. You made me think that Orange Cassidy was going to hit an orange punch in 2 minutes, and he didn't.
I won't lie. I did go on DraftKings thinking I could bet on wrestling for a second. I was going to be a millionaire, and then I realized it's just a pool. But anyway.
Yes, yeah. And it's not just like who's going to win. It's like, will this guy hit this move 3 times or 4 times? And it's like, bro, give me a break. I did get the first one was right. Who was going to come out first? And I'm like, Orange Cassidy, of course. And he did.
Hell yeah. There was, in the beginning of the match, there was like this weird, I still don't even really know what they were trying to do. The briefcase was handcuffed to the ring, and the announcer,
I think that was a mistake.
The announcers seemed confused. Marina seemed confused. Everyone seemed confused. The ref thought the ref was confused by it. So then Marina just rips the handcuffs off of the briefcase. I don't know if the briefcase is really strong, if the ropes are really strong, or if the handcuffs are just fake bullshit. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
cuffs are
plan was.
fake bullshit. They always are.
I don't understand what. Maybe it was supposed to. I don't really get what they were going for there. But that's not important because they skipped right over it and went right into a brawl outside the ring, which was even more confusing than the briefcase situation. There was no cameraman anywhere. There was one camera dude on the hard cam who was like zooming in on, I don't even know, just a random fight in the crowd. Nobody knew what was happening. Of course, JR is he's like, JR at some point goes, "Where is everybody?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah.
JR was making sense. I was like, man, JR, we are all in the same boat right now, and at least like I can
Very
dig what
strange.
you're saying, man. I can dig what you're saying.
It
was a mess.
was a mess.
I don't think Bullet Club. I don't think the Bang Bang Gang even showed up, did they?
They didn't show up. They were like, not only that. Well, I guess one of them is hurt. No, anyway, whatever. Nobody showed up. And then, except for the Death Riders who were like beating the shit out of the refs. And it's like, at this point, I don't even like, I don't know if it's worse than the Roman thing, because the Roman matches were always, you can be disqualified. So if you beat up the ref, it would have to be like a sneakily done. But this is straight up just like no disqualification. So you just beat up the refs until Moxley wins. Like with that logic, doesn't make any sense. I guess they'll follow up with it later on and try to keep Death Riders out. I'm sure that is down the pipeline.
Eventually, yes, but this was very sloppy. Like I don't like. Yes, Juice Robinson is hurt, but I don't know where the ass boys are. I don't know where the conglomeration was. I mean, we know Kyle O'Reilly seems to be done with them.
Yeah.
But the rest of the conglomeration, where the hell were you? Where was Christopher Daniels, who said he would be there for Hangman Adam Page? It was just bizarre, especially with the Death Riders coming out to attack so early. That was another thing on sports betting. They're just like, will one of the referees get attacked? And I'm like, it's a no DQ match. It's a fatal 4-way. Of course, one of the refs is getting attacked.
Yeah.
And who's going to bleed first? John Moxley, of course. So I think I got those two right.
All right, we got 2 minutes left. Sorry to rush you.
I was figured you would say that. That's all I had to say. John Moxley wins. He pins Jay White in a very sloppy whatever match. It was.
I missed it. I looked away. It seemed very underwhelming based on the crowd's reaction. But
FTR comes out. It's kind of confusing. I actually thought maybe they would join them, but then the graphic says rated FTR. Adam Copeland has returned. Christian Cage is up in the stands looking like, what the fuck? This is great. New contender for either the trios titles or the world championship or both. Adam Copeland is back in AEW, presumably healthy because he speared John Moxley. This is great. Another contender, even though we know, I don't think he's going to win the title.
Not going to win, but it's a cool feud. It's a cool win for Moxley. It's not like too crazy. It'll be one that Edge can take an L on without being mad that he's not going over. It is interesting because if Edge does win, Christian can get involved. Yada, yada, yada. But I don't think that's going to happen because the announcers literally said it. They said, well, somebody can win the title and then Edge and then Christian cashes in. And it's like, okay. I think they're just going to do something weird, like maybe. Anyway, we got to go.
Well, we got 50 seconds. I was a minute fast. But yeah, I don't think it would be cool for Christian to cash in on Adam Copeland, but I still think it's too soon for Mox to lose the title. Still a great contender to have, and also gives excuse for Adam Copeland not to go after the TNT Championship. I hope you guys enjoyed our show. This is Mark It Down Podcast. You can follow us on all the big networks, social networks, Instagram, X, YouTube, you name it. We're here. We'll see you all soon. We love you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully we'll cover Raw on Monday. If not, you can catch us on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite or perhaps Impact on Thursday. I really don't want to do Friday Night SmackDown because it's 3 hours. But if you beg me, maybe I will. Thanks, guys. Bye.